All right, so we just got one of the more substantial Nintendo Switch Online drops late last night with 5 different games coming to the base tier for Nintendo Switch Online members. That means, yes, the $20 membership does indeed get all of these games. It is all from a beloved franchise of mine, none other than Mega Man. As you can see, the following tweet from Nintendo of America, which reads, 5 classic games featuring the Blue Bomber are now available for Nintendo Switch Online members. Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4, and Mega Man 5, all as a surprise shadow drop. So you know the drill. We're going to boot up these games. I'm going to share some thoughts and nostalgia around them. Now, this is, of course, the Game Boy version of the games, which some people may want the NES versions, and I don't necessarily think we'll see that from Capcom anytime soon due to their collection strategy and stuff. That said, though, they could make it to the service one day with the addition of like the Mega Man X games from SNES, which is definitely where I spent most of my time in the Mega Man franchise over the years. And I also want to make a quick honorable mention before we hop into the gameplay of the Mega Man games that if you are in the European region of the world, Nintendo Switch Online has a free game trial for Hollow Knight, which I highly recommend. That is going from June 6th until June 12th. I hope we get a similar, if not the same trial sometime here on this side of the globe. But if you are over in the European regions of the world, definitely check that out and we will hop straight into some Mega Man gameplay. So right out of the gate, I love to see 5 different games all dropping into the service at once and really filling out the selection of games we have on the Game Boy library for the base tier of NSO. Really nice. These are Capcom games, of course, so Nintendo did have to cut a check to Capcom to get them on the service. And we do have kind of a nice trend that I've noticed too, when you have games that are, numerically tied to each other, just like we had the Super Mario Bros. Games rather all hit the Super Mario Advance games hit the Game Boy Advance all at once. We have all these Mega Man classic games hitting the Game Boy all at once, which is great. So we're going to hop into Mega Man 3 because that's the NES one that I have the most nostalgia for. However, something to note is that these are actually very different games. At least 1 through 4 are very different than the NES ones. Now, they have the same bosses, but in terms of the levels, my understanding is they're kind of a mashup of different, maybe unused portions from the game. It's definitely like zoomed in, as you can see on the perspective. So there was something going on there. If somebody knows like the full history of it, definitely comment down below. I know I've watched like some kind of video on it in the past, but I've not actually played through the Game Boy games of Mega Man. However, the NES, all timeless classics that I have enjoyed all the way through and through, but I was not the biggest handheld gamer back in the day, believe it or not, and I really have changed that in the Switch era because like with the OLED screen, it's just big and bright enough that I really enjoy it. But when you talk about being a kid back in the day, I really always wanted to play on a TV whenever possible, to the point where I'd kind of like only play Game Boy on like road trips and stuff if we were really traveling somewhere far. But this game does not hold back on the difficulty department, as you can see, literally actually dropping frames because of how much chaos is going on screen, and you really do have to worry about your health at all times. But banger soundtrack in Mega Man games. If you ever want to listen to some awesome retro tunes, like just boot up any Mega Man game and listen to the background music. This isn't necessarily my favorite track out of the bunch, but there's so many good ones. A bunch of my favorite and biggest nostalgia comes from the Mega Man X games, because 1 through 3 on the SNES is absolutely how I fell in love with the series. And it is different playing these classic Mega Man games compared to X. They do play differently without like the dash and stuff in the air. We just had to go ahead and restart, so we will actually take an opportunity to boot into another game, just because I want to kind of go through maybe at least a couple of them. You're obviously going to see the similarities between all the different games, so we'll hop straight into Mega Man 2 next and just start off on our first boss, which is Clash Man. Really creative names, of course, is all the enemies, but these are all great to see on the service. And we are very early in the month of June, and we really have been seeing Nintendo at least stick to some form of Nintendo Switch Online update once per month so far in 2024, which I am very happy with. Now, I'm not going to say it's perfect. We're still missing a ton of N64 love, but in general, I will say they've been far more consistent with dropping something NSO at least once a month, if not sometimes getting something for the base tier as well as the expansion pass tier. So we're right around the corner from the June Nintendo Direct at any time. So will there be an NSO section there? That's a really good question, and something that I don't even know if I have a for sure opinion on it. Like, I really feel like it's one of those 50-50 things where we might see them talk about more N64 games and Game Boy Advance games to kind of like help justify the expansion pack once again for players out there that maybe aren't subscribed yet. But in terms of just straight up giving us like a detailed roadmap, I don't necessarily know that we're going to see anything major from Nintendo anymore in that regard, just because if you look at every other system, they get it to a certain point and then they kind of stop communicating the games that are going to be coming to it. So we might already be in that point with the current level of systems we have right now. And we'll lastly hop into, let's see, we'll go to Mega Man 5 next. And I figure that if you hold it down, it always goes to like the save state. But I do think we're maybe at that point now, roadmap wise, where we're just not going to really see them do the traditional route where they communicate like that roadmap ahead of time and get us hyped up. I would love to be wrong about that. I would actually love to see like, oh, here's your next N64 round of updates, and it's going to consist of Smash 64, and it's going to consist of, Donkey Kong 64 and Diddy Kong Racing. Talk about a Mega Man game. I would love to see Mega Man 64, otherwise known as Mega Man Legends, if you grew up with it on the PlayStation. Stuff like that would be incredible. So there's definitely a lot they can still do with the service, but that said, consistency is key, and so far Nintendo's done, I would say, a decent job at updating their library of games, at least once per month in 2024 so far. And I think that I've said this in previous videos, if you guys have watched them all, especially with the game updates and stuff, but gosh, in a year where 2024 definitely seems like it's more of a light year in software, because obviously we're talking about transitioning to the next gen hardware soon. This is the perfect time, like legitimately the perfect time to go ahead and just go all out with NSO, in my opinion. So maybe we will see something at the June Direct, but I'm not expecting, and I think nobody should expect at this point in time, especially now that we have Nintendo confirming that they're talking about their, of course, we just get taken out. Whenever Nintendo announced that they're talking about their Switch successor, I think that all but confirms that you shouldn't expect another round of systems to come to NSO. Now, nothing's impossible with Nintendo, but do not be holding your breath for some kind of DS announcement or some kind of GameCube announcement. Like, it's absolutely not going to happen in this console, in my opinion, and I do think that we are going to see it in the next gen console at some point in time. Not necessarily when it launches, but one day we'll get that announcement from Nintendo at a Nintendo Direct that the GameCube library games are making it over, and we're just going to have to hope and pray that they don't include another pricing increase just because they're giving us that library of games, because I can definitely see Nintendo doing that. So all great games, classic, great soundtrack if you just listen to it. Like, really simple, obviously, coming from like the Game Boy music chip, but it's a ton of fun. So I really do recommend you guys to check out the Mega Man games that hit there. As you can see, you are going to have a hard time playing them. Maybe you're an expert at it. I'm definitely am not, especially when I don't have anything memorized as far as these games go, but I'm going to enjoy playing through these myself. I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below what you hope we see next from NSO. Are you excited for 5 different Game Boy games hitting all at once? I definitely think this is one of the best Game Boy additions that we've had so far in terms of just expanding the library in that way, especially them all being Capcom games, where Nintendo's definitely cutting a check to them for getting them on there. Not to mention, I guess I will quickly touch on before we wrap it up the likelihood of, Capcom sells the Mega Man collection still to this day at a pretty good rate, and they make a decent amount of money. And they're not going to just want to throw that away by putting all their Mega Man games on NSO. So, for them to do this all with the Game Boy, and I don't believe that these are available in a collection, they might be the only ones that we see them do, but they also might one day feel like they've made the majority of the money that they want to make from Mega Man NES collections, and then also the Mega Man X collection on Nintendo Switch, or the Nintendo consoles at least, like for those games that came out on between the SNES and the NES. Like, if they choose to go ahead and release those all, I think that's going to be a huge win, and I think we might see them slowly do that one day. We did have like a leak that happened once upon a time where it showed a screenshot of a development build of NSO, and it did have some Mega Man box art for the NES, so maybe we'll see that happen one day. I'm hopeful that, like, over the course of Summer Game Fest and all these summer announcements, we actually get some announcements for the Blue Bomber once again. We might. Capcom's seems to be teasing something related to that, and then this just dropped, so maybe they are ready to celebrate Mega Man in a big way. Let me know your favorite Mega Man games in the comments down below, and let me know what you think about this update, and most importantly, where you hope we see the future of NSO go from here. And are you like me and you think that, yeah, definitely we're going to see something in the form of new systems on the next console? Or do you think maybe they could happen before then? I definitely don't at the June Direct, but share all your thoughts and feelings with me in the comments down below, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification on your way out, and I will see you guys in the next video.